Do you have a deadbeat dad in your life? What would you do if that deadbeat dad all of a sudden decided to show up or contact you because he needed something from you? What would you do? This Reddit story is exactly about that. And it came from the subreddit NuclearRevenge. Let's get into it. It's titled, I Wanted My Father to Understand I Wasn't Coming. My parents divorced when I was in first grade. Not only did my dad disappear like Houdini, he stole my mother's ATM card to her personal account and drained her dry. My mother, being the saint she is, didn't even bat an eye. She still was cordial to him and never said a negative word about him. To me, my dad, a bit abandoning us, was still my hero. From 1st to 5th grade, I had the usual abandoned by dad stories. Maybe 1 or 2 visits in a year, and the 50 times of me waiting by the front window with my suitcase packed ready to go to his house, and him never showing up. My mom, through all of this, was supportive and never said an ill word about him. So he still stayed my hero. When I was in 6th grade, my mother finally remarried, and my father, who only had a picture of me at 8 months old in his wallet, went ballistic. Did I mention he never paid child support? He would use his father's social, they had the same name, to get away with it. After my mom remarried, he let it be known that I was now my stepdad's responsibility. He cut off communication with me until I graduated high school. He didn't attend my graduation or send a card. What he did do was write me an email thanking God he no longer had to pay child support. He did it anyway. What really broke me was his ruthless and brutal attack on my mother, attacking her weight, look, teeth, and blaming any perceived negative traits that I had on her. For the first time, I realized what a careless piece of crap he was. I responded in kind. He told me I was no longer a child of his and that I was a waste. After that, I vowed that I would hurt him. 10 years later, my father, not interested in my wedding or my son, reached out to me. You see, he is a diabetic, and one of his organs were failing, and he didn't have long. He's too far on the list, and he needed someone in our family to donate. NuclearRevenge activated. I answered his email. I met up with him and pretended that I didn't hate his guts. I went and got tested to see if I was a match. I was. Did the therapy and met with doctors and his therapist. We scheduled the surgery. The day of the surgery, we meet at the hospital. I smiled in his face and let him know that I wouldn't be going through with the surgery. I watched the confused line in his face. I just wanted to let you know that you're no father for me and you're a waste. I left the hospital and drove home. My mom was pretty annoyed with me that I took it that far. My father is dying and I will be attending the funeral out of spite. And I will let everyone know what a piece of crap he was. TLDR, father abandoned me and called me a waste. Later in life, he needs an organ. I agree and match with him and abandon him at the hospital the day of the surgery after calling him a waste. He will die and I will ruin his funeral. So, the OP does give some edits. First edit. This really blew up. For those questioning my actions, I will give further detail. My father was/is semi-obsessed with my mother. His attachment to us was only in his perceived ability to get back with my mother. In the beginning, he would call and make plans to see us. and then just not show up. My mom would have to make up excuses. He has been married over 4 times and supports and loves his stepkids without a thought to us. Once my mother remarried, he was done with us. He kept in contact with my mother through email but had no interest in talking to his children. I reached out to him before to invite him to my graduation, to let him know of my marriage, and that he was a grandfather. All I got back was a picture of his new wife's kiddos. Upon getting to know him after agreeing to donate, I went to one of his therapy sessions at his request. There, I heard the story of the true reason he contacted me. I listened as he lamented about his impending death, how he was resigned to his fate, only to have his new wife remind him of his former kids and maybe one of them will donate. And he got excited because he had forgotten all about us. And it was like hope renewed. Do you know how crappy it is to listen to the person who is responsible for your very existence talk about forgetting your very existence? Like I was a pair of sturdy old boots that gathered dust in the back of the closet. Now rediscover I was to be worn to go shelf crap. I knew then I wasn't going to give him anything. And then she also put, thanks for the gold and silver. Edit 2. I'm not worried about a will or being left anything. He had nothing to leave. He's the male equivalent of a gold digger. He only marries women who can take care and support him as he mooches off of them. He stole thousands from my mother. And she didn't press charges because she didn't want her children's father in jail. My mother was his first wife, and he learned his lesson not to have kids of his own, but to move into ready-made families. His ex-wives and their children have nothing nice to say about him. When I told him I wasn't going through with it, he understood exactly why. He nodded his head in understanding. I already was approached for money to contribute to the funeral, and I will. Holy smokes. Initially, when I read this story, I was like, whoa, that is nuts. What kind of father would, like, out of nowhere just say, oh yeah, I have biological kids. I should reach out to them after not contacting them in 10 years. I can ask them for an organ, and I'm sure they will be willing to do it. The audacity of this dad. I cannot believe it. And good for OP. She stayed strong. She stood her ground, and she had the patience of a saint. Her mom is a saint, and I completely give credit to the mom. Even though this piece of crap of a dad did the mom wrong in so many ways, stole all her money. Her mom still didn't say anything bad or negative to her children about him. Did not press charges on him when he stole the money. Continue to make up excuses for this lame excuse of a man when he didn't show up for his kids for visits and stuff. You know what? I'm glad that OP did what she did, because the dad deserved exactly what he got. And now that the shoe fell off on the other foot, how does he feel about it? But you know what? At the same time, at the end, I'm glad that he realized what kind of mistake he made, and he understood that the OP was not going to do anything. I think it finally clicked with him, be like, yeah, that's how it is. I probably deserve it. Well, no, he probably doesn't even think that he deserves it. But he goes like, oh my goodness. Yeah. So, let's see what some of the commenters have to say about this. The first commenter says, can you update the post after the funeral? The OP, because I will. He doesn't have long. Yeah. I'm sure. Another commenter says, I had a similar situation, but I was far too pissed to take it as far as you did. I just nuked the bridge he tried to build. Mine wanted my liver after he physically, emotionally, and sexually abused me as a small child. My mother wasn't happy with how I handled it either, but it wasn't her decision. It was mine. OP responds by saying, I'm sorry that you even had to experience that. You don't deserve that. You have every right at the ringer party to get the revolution you see fit. I hope that you have healed and can heal from his abuse. Much love and light to you. So even though this happened to OP, she still stays positive and she has a good outlook. And you know what? I hope this teaches people out there that karma is real. You're gonna treat people like crap. You're gonna have something bad happen to you in return. Anyways, I would love to know what you guys think. Have you guys ever experienced something similar to this OP? What would you have done in her situation? Would you have gone nuclear like she did? Please leave those in the comments. And if you like these types of stories, remember to continue to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys later.